How's that for sound? I'm playing with my sound functions. Nobody's here. I'm not sure what happened to people. Maybe I have to send the link. It's a little bit of an echo. I think that's much better. It drowns out the fans that I'm running right now. Okay, let me see if I can send a reminder to students that we're here. The mouse sounds so loud. Not even touching anything. I guess that's the keyboard. Anyway, that's much better sound than before. I should work with it. I'll try and perfect it. Oh, okay, now here you are. Just waiting for everyone to funnel in. Good morning. If you had a chance to rewatch the other videos, you will have noticed that on part 1, you got the captions, and on part 2 you didn't, and that's because I think it got cut off. The stream got cut off. I can't remember why. Or I lost the stream. When I lose the stream, usually I can just start again in the same video, but for some reason I couldn't figure it out. YouTube changed things a bit. I couldn't figure out how to restart it. So then I started a new one, and then because I don't know, I'm not sure. Anyway, I did something out of order and I lost the captions. So I'm gonna try and avoid that this time. I'll do my best, but basically the captions should show up. All right, so we're going to pick up where we left off. I did send you some documents for you to review. And I didn't expect you to finish them. Some students wanted to know if they had to hand them in or something. Nope, you don't have to hand them in. You just got to work on them. Make a schedule, be diligent, keep up in this class. There is going to be a lot of material. And try and stay organized, okay? I recommend you print everything in a printer, and then I'll work on the pages I send you. Morning, everyone. Yeah, you guys should maybe, say good morning so at least I have a list of who's here and I can use that in the attendance. I have to report attendance. I just answered the question. Okay, so yeah, just if you write in there, I know you're here. But as I mentioned, you can watch these videos later, but you should at least come in and at some point tell me you're in the class. Okay? So let's see where we left off. I have to set up my calculator too. Sounds pretty good, right? Been working on the sound this morning. So we didn't make too much, we didn't go too deep into the notes, but should have seemed like a review to you. I believe we left off, okay, we left off here. Okay, so what we learned so far, let me look at the formula sheet and review what we did so far. So the formula sheet I gave you, something's going on with my Word. Not sure why. Yeah, if you subscribe to the channel, then you'll get the updates to remind you that I'm live streaming, so that might be helpful. I have too many documents open, dear. I'm here, just getting organized still. I did send you the sheet with formulas, didn't I? I don't know why I can't find it. There we go. Okay, let me show you this. So there are the finance formulas that, and so far, what we've done. Oops. That didn't work. There you go. So far, we have talked about just the first one, and its companion would be the second one, right? So we have, well, the first one was the basic time value of money formula. Oh yeah, this is not the formula sheet, the general case. Oh dear, I gotta get the other one. Anyway, I'll pull it up in a second. So we talked about the basic time value of money formula, and then we related it to the other version when you're discounting. So I call this the accumulation formula, and I refer to this as the discounting formula, but they're basically the same time value of money formula, solving for a different variable. Notice the subscripts and the superscripts here are a little bit different. But I will, I'm pretty sure I sent this to you. I'll get the right one in a bit. Okay, so any questions? Sorry. My Word crashed. Morning. So for people who are just coming in, just put a note that you're here so then I can go through and know that you're attending. And as I mentioned in the first class, you don't have to attend as long as you watch this later, but I need to report that students are in the course and attending and active, so this would be a nice way to evidence that. Okay, so you come, you show up, and you tell me you're here in the first hour. Okay, so we left off here. What we want to do now, we solve this problem by using the calculator, and we did not, or did we solve this analytically? Did we isolate for I? I think I lost what I did if we did do that. I lost my work. Oh, we did? Okay, good. So we did that. So we solved the question asked, can you solve this analytically? And we did. Thanks for reminding me. I probably didn't save that part. Okay, so we did that. Oh, Jennifer's saying we didn't do that. Okay, let's just do it quickly. Anyway, I think we did, but we'll just do it quickly. So as I mentioned, I'm getting an iPad. My iPad doesn't work. My old one stopped working properly, so I'm just working right now in Adobe and making notes for now, but it should arrive in a week or two, and it'll be nicer then. All right, so if I want to solve this, I take the expression. So I mentioned that in the test situation, you would want to show me this. You would show me the timeline. And then you would show me the solution if I asked for it. If I ask you to solve analytically, if I say something like show your work. Oops. Yeah, it's hard to write with this thing. Okay, so if I say show your work, you have to show me. So to do this, you have to go slower. I remember doing this recently. All right, and then you want to simplify it to get I. So, oh, I can't do that. And so you take the square root of this. I'm going to simplify this a bit, so this will go down to 10 divided by 9. Yeah, I remember doing this. Minus 1 equals I. And when you solve that in your calculator, you get this. If any of you want to make comments and you want to keep them private, you can text them to me, okay? I have my phone next to me. Oh, okay. You sent the notes. Oh, you can't see what I just wrote. Show your work. I'll rewrite it. You sent the notes through chat. Which notes? My notes? Oh, I guess you wrote them on a piece of paper and then you shared them in the chat. That's nice of you, Von Maida. Von Maidi. So this is my number if you want to text me privately. Okay. I might not get it right away. I'm watching a lot of things at the same time. But that's really good if something happens, if the screen freezes, you can let me know there or anyway. So what did I write here? I wrote show your work. Okay, so if I ask you to show your work, you do that. Solve it, isolating the variable on one side. So let's do that again for this problem. You want to solve for the number of years to accumulate $10,000 from 1,000, and I actually think we did this too. So it's the same relationship, so this is what you would write. This is what you would write in your exam paper, or on your exam paper, and then you would be able to put it in your calculator, and these are the steps. So for the calculator, gonna make room for the calculator. You should know by now. How many of you worked on this and finished the notes or almost finished the notes? I'm just putting up the my notes to the camera. I mean my calculator. Something is not working. Oh, there it is. All right. All this setup, hey? All I have to show is the top, right? So putting this in the calculator using the third row, we enter the number first, and then you see a problem with my screen? I have to get this off begin mode. Who knows when I did that? So I have to press second, begin, second, set. So that's gone. Okay, so that is gone. So let's put in, I don't know what n is. Sorry, so I don't put anything into n. I put 8 into interest. I put 1,000 negative into PV because that is what I'm going to spend now. There are no payments in this problem, so I put a 0, and then I get at the end $10,000. So then I ask to compute, and I say compute n, and that's the answer. Okay, so that'll give me the answer. The only thing you need to remember here is to use the negative for the PV, and to remember interest is in percentage, not in decimal, in the financial calculator. So let's solve this now analytically, meaning let's isolate T. Do you know how to do that? So you're going to, again, take 10,000 divide by 1,000. And that's going to cancel. It's going to leave you 10. I feel like we did this before. I think I'm using a different set of notes. That's why I don't have the notes on here actually. So then you get that equals t. So to solve for t, very good. Keep communicating, but pay attention to me too. Okay. So t, how do I solve for the exponent? Oh, what did I just do? That's not right. Oh my God. Guys, I'm distracted. Sorry. That's not right. I can't do that. That's not right. So to solve for t, t is an exponent, but I have 10 equals 1.08t. So to get to the exponent, I actually have to use the inverse of an exponent, which is logarithm. So I take the natural log and I solve. Sorry about the misunderstanding what I was writing there. I'm so distracted with all the things I'm looking at. And with my pen. So that would be what you do, take the log of both sides, and that brings t down. So you should remember this. If you don't remember this, you need help with the basic mathematics, please let me know so I can get you, or I can at least monitor that. But you don't have to, nothing major. I mean, you don't have to take a whole course again in mathematics. You just have to recall some of these operations, right? So then t is equal to log 10 divided by log 1.08. To get this on your calculator has, let me clear that. The log function is here. Oh, I can't press it. You have to put the number in first, right? So if I want to do this on my calculator, I would press the number first, 10 ln, and then I want to divide it, but I have to use brackets on the bottom or it'll disappear because the order of operations are not followed on this calculator. So then I press 1.08 and it holds it. I say ln, close the bracket, and I get the same answer. Okay, so that is the analytical solution. If I ask you to show your work, you have to be able to do that. So for a test situation, you would write this, and all you have to do is write the answer. Remember, I mentioned this is not going to give you any points to write this down. So don't be surprised if you get 0 points for that, if you write that. And this is not going to get you any points because you're basically copying this from your formula sheet, which you're allowed to use. So that's not going to get you any points. I'm going to be strict about that. What's going to get you points is the formula and the answer and a timeline. Usually I just ask for the timeline when there's payments. There's no payments here, so you don't have to put a timeline for this one. But to warn you, if you have a timeline and you have the wrong answer, I might give you part marks, okay? But if you don't have the timeline, I can't give you anything. So I want the answer. If I ask for show your work, then you have to do all this to show your work. Is that okay? Oh, some of my image is lost. Let me put that in. There you go. That's better. So if you're copying, copy that, and then yeah, you can watch the video again and improve your notes. Okay. Questions? Oh, I lost the video. Okay, there you go. Next. Summary of the two formulas that come from the same time value of money relationship, where T is the duration of the investment, or N in your calculator, I is the interest rate, or I by Y in your calculator. And for people using different calculators, I'm pretty sure things look similar on your calculators. PV is the present value or principal, and FV is a future value and represents the accumulated amount. And keep in mind, we have assumed in all these problems that payments are at the end of a period. So we're doing like we're saying that the payment, the cash flows, right, are at the end of the period. So even when we try and find the present value, even the present value at time 0, it's the end of 0, which is the beginning of 1, which is today. Or you can use the formulas as long as you're using them, assuming that the payments are at the beginning of the period, and then you're getting the answer at the beginning of the period. If you're getting the present value, just got to keep that in mind. Okay. All right, so now let's talk about net present value. Uh-oh, something beeped at me. Let's see what's going on. Right one, you only have to show me the step-by-step calculations when I say show your work, okay? That's the only time. I'm going to set my calculator so it doesn't time out. Okay. So what's net present value? Here's a question to describe it. You believe that if you buy a hotel for $3 million today, you can sell it in 5 years for $4 million. The interest rate, so the interest rate you're going to use, even though in the world there's so many, we're only going to use this one, and I'm going to tell you which one to use. Okay, so there it is, 8%. Should you buy the hotel? So when the interest rate was chosen, the thinking was, well, if we don't invest in the hotel, if I don't buy the hotel, I'm going to invest the money, or I'm going to spend the money on something where I will earn 8%. So 8% is the opportunity cost of doing nothing with my money. Okay, that's how I'm thinking about it. Nothing like a not saving or investing. So what do I do with this? How do I make a decision? Should I buy the hotel? One way to do this, realizing that the two cash flows are at two different points in time, and we know that those are valued differently because this is at time 0 and this one is at time 5. So that's end of period 5. Remember the tick marks? These tick marks denote end of the period. So what I have to do is combine them at the same time period, but to do that I could either discount this one back and then I can compare them, or I could accumulate this one forward and then compare them. They need to be at the same time point. So it turns out that in finance we do it the first way, because, or maybe I should put the star over here. Oops, so sensitive. There. We're going to do it the first way. We're going to discount the 4 million to time 0, and then we can add them together, where the first one is a negative cash flow because it's an outflow, and the second one, the 4 million, is a positive inflow, positive cash flow because it's an inflow. The other way would give you the same answer, okay, but economists and finance experts like to do the first way. Now, does anybody know why? Why would we do that? Why do we do it this way? I'll ask you at the end, okay? So let's do this and then I'll ask you again. So what we're doing is we're going to discount the 4 million. So we're really essentially putting the 4 million over here. Well, let me write it. And this one will be a positive, but this one will be a negative. Now the 4 million is not 4 million, right? If I discount it, I have to put a term here, and that's 1 divided by 108. Sorry, 4 million divided by 108 to the power of 5. I can't get it. Can you see that? It's better over here. Okay, so that's what's happening. So you've probably seen this before, right? You're familiar with net present value. And when I put those together, I can mention that this is NPV. That's my formula. That's how it is in the formula sheet. Where the second portion, I only have one cash flow that is going to accrue in 5 years. But really, if there were more, I would put them all together as the present value of future cash flows to offset the initial investment. Notice my notation here, cash flow 0. That will usually be known as like the initial outlay or the initial investment will be negative. Notice this is a negative value, but I use the symbol CFO, knowing that it's going to be a negative. So when I put that together in the calculator, you could do it with scientific notation. So if you were to just punch this in the calculator, probably as you did in your course 3106, it'd be easy, right? This is pretty easy. Now, the reason why I'm going to teach you the finance calculator is because you can have much more complex problems than this. And we want to use a more general approach. What if you had many cash flows coming? Just a lot of things to punch into your calculator and a long formula. And we want to learn how to use the TI calculator, so this is what we're going to do. This is the formula. Now, in a test situation, you don't have to put all these terms down. I'm not going to require you to write all those terms. You could just as well write the one that we were just staring at. But I've written it like this to show you what the calculator is doing. We actually have to enter everything because the calculator needs to account for those spots, all right? So I'm going to show you 2 different ways to do this. And we're going to begin by opening the worksheet for cash flow. So the cash flow worksheet is in CF. So make sure everything is clear, or that your screen is clear, and hit CF. Now I have nothing in there. I'm going to use the arrow key to scroll through and make sure it's empty. And if I'm not sure if it's empty completely, I can clear it. Does anybody know how to clear everything? If I'm in here, I press CFO, then I can clear the worksheet while I'm in it. So that would clear it. And now I want to begin entering the values, beginning with 3 million with a negative, and I say enter. And then scroll down. I'm going to use the arrow to go down to the first cash flow. Now it's nothing, but I do have to put it in there. And then the calculator shows me F01. What is F01? F01 is frequency. So how many times do you see 0? Well, we actually see it 4 times, but I'm going to show you how to do it without using that first, just to show you what I've got on this handout here on the page. So I'm going to just leave it as 0 because no, I don't want to activate the frequency button. But it should really be 1, shouldn't it? Yeah, it should be 1. So 1, enter, down. Now CO2 is going to be 0, enter, down, and then you have to say 1, enter, down. It's automatically 1 for frequency because you've already entered something. So then 0 again for C03, enter, down, and there's one of those. And you go down again. And then for 04, it's also a 0, so you have to say enter, down. And then there's just one of those, so down again. So every time you enter a new value, you have to hit enter. And then for 5, now this is where we get our 4 million, so 4 and 6 zeros, enter, down. And there's one of those, enter, down. And I'm done. So let's see how you guys are doing. I'm going to check the feed. Oh, can't see the calculator. I have to do that again. How did I lose it? Okay, let's do it again. So I have to start by clearing. Okay, let's start by clearing. Oh no, it's not showing at all. Okay, I'm gonna create another feed for the calculator. Something's wrong. Oh, very strange. See it now? You should see that now. Okay, so what do I have? So you press CF. So I have stuff in there, so let's clear it out. So I hit so once I'm in, second clear work will clear the entire worksheet. So let's start again with $3 million. 3 million, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, negative, enter, down. Then you hit, it's 0, 0 is already there, so I enter it and go down with the arrow, and then I enter the one that's already there, down. So next, I have another 0, so I just keep on entering. It's already there, so I can just actually scroll down, down, down. Oh no, I have to enter. It won't work. Okay, so CO2 0, because then it'll just think it's over. Enter, down, and then enter, down. So now number 3 is also 0, cash flow 3. So I say enter, down, and then there's one of those, enter, down. So you see the 1 and the 0s are automatically showing up. And so I'm using them. So for C4, CO4, enter it as 0, and then down. And there's one, only one of them. And then finally, in year 5, it's 4 with 6 zeros. It's a positive, enter, down, and frequency is 1, enter, down. So I'm done. So I can see my values as I scroll through. Make sure I did it right. So it's, the first one is negative 3 million, then a bunch of zeros with frequency 1, until year 5 where it's 4 million, and there's one of those. And that's it. Okay? Questions? So then, what you do to continue is you hit NPV. So those are the instructions. You hit NPV and you see it shows 0, but I need to enter my interest rate. So for I, it's that, but I have to tell it enter. Now it go down and it says NPV 0. We know that's wrong. So ask it to compute CPT. And that's how you get the answer. So that is it. That's it. It's negative, so you should not invest. So the NPV is telling you if you're getting value for your money, is it worth it? So what you're doing is you're comparing the alternative. The alternative would be to earn 8% for every dollar you invest somewhere else. Okay, so that you could either put it in a savings account or somewhere else. The assumption is you could get 8% somewhere else. And you're saying, well, if I compared it, the value of the 4 million that's coming to me is not enough to offset what I could have done with the 3 million today. And you would be at a loss of $277,000. So don't invest. So essentially it's showing you that there's no payoff. It's a negative payoff. So now I can ask you, why do we do it this way? Why don't we do it why don't we say instead, why don't we move this amount forward? And then we would say, well, if I took $3 million and I invested it, what would it become? What would it accumulate to today? So if you took $3 million and you invested it at 8% after 5 years, what would you get? We can do that, right? That's easy. I can do 3 million, 6 3 and 6 zeros, times, well, I can use time value of money. Let's use the time value of money keys. So I'm going to say 3 million. Let's clear our TVM. And I want 5 years at an interest rate of 8%. I'm going to, with a present value amount of 3 million, no payments, what will that become? Oh, let me just put into PV the 3 million as a negative, right? Because I want to invest that, and I would get that much. So what does that mean? What does that say? What is that telling me? Anyone? What does it mean? How do I interpret that result? Right? But I mean, what does it mean? How do you conclude if I did it that way? It would mean that you could make more money if you didn't buy the hotel and instead invested it at, or saved it, depending where you're getting that 8%. Okay, so the hotel wouldn't have given you the 4 million. Investing it in financial markets would have. So it gives you the same conclusion. You should not buy the hotel. And then finally, my question to you is, so why do we do it this way instead? Why do we do it NPV? Does anybody know? Oh, see, when it goes off, I have to, I don't know why it's going off. I thought I set it not to lock. I don't even know what raised awake means. It's not supposed to close. Oh well. Okay, so nobody has the answer? Okay, you guys are thinking. Okay, so the reason is the convention to put everything in today's dollars is because people know what a dollar will buy today. So we like to see numbers in real dollars or today's dollars, or essentially because we like to know and interpret what they could buy for us today. What's the purchasing power? So we know what $277,000 loss means, right? We know that, wow, you know, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money because I could have done this. Okay, so it's just a convention because, you know, it's only 5 years here. It's not a big deal, but investments can be made for over, you know, longer periods of time, 10, 20, 30 years. And we don't know what numbers mean out in the future. It's because of the whole time value of money concept. We don't have a good sense of, well, we have an idea that that there's a difference, right? The value of a dollar in the future is not the same as what it is today, essentially because I don't know what it's going to be able to buy me. I don't know its purchasing power. So the short answer is we put everything in $0 and times $0 in present value because we know what it means. We know what a loss of $277,000 means. We could have bought a little house. We could have bought a house with that money, and we're losing it. So it helps when you're trying to make a pitch, or you're trying to explain this to other people, or even trying to understand it yourself about the gravity of the loss. Okay, so it wouldn't be wrong to do it the other way if you're just making a calculation you want to know, and that's telling you the answer. It doesn't pay off. But the convention is to use the NPV approach, and when I ask you to use the NPV approach, you should use the NPV approach. Yeah. If I just ask you to answer a question, you can be as creative as you want. Okay? All right, next. All right, so let's say to offset that loss, that $277,000 that we anticipate, what we're thinking instead is, why don't we rent the hotel out to somebody else? We don't have the means to do anything in the hotel. We don't have any other money to invest in the hotel. So we decided for the next 5 years, we're just going to buy it because we found that we think that the $3 million is a good price, and we're going to rent it. So we're going to rent it to somebody else who's going to run the hotel, and we'll just make $200,000 by year 3 and year 4, because you see they're going to have to spend the first few years remodeling the hotel, preparing it. So let's put that in, and now will that offset the 277? Well, it probably will, right? Because it's going to be 200,000, in that year and another 200,000 in the other, probably enough. So let's check. Oh, and I didn't show you the second way to do this with the frequency. So let's do that now. So here's the formula that you would write on in an exam situation, and I'm going to put 2 zeros here as place marks. Like I said, you don't have to put them there, but it helps in how I'm going to enter this into my calculator to check the answer. So let's go to CF and clear. So second, clear work, so it's empty now. Actually, I didn't have to clear it because I actually need those numbers. But anyway, I'm going to start from the beginning again. If you don't clear, it's fine. Just enter on top of it these extra values. So I'm going to do it again though. So if you didn't get it the first time, you can see it now. So 3 with 6 zeros and a negative. Sorry, so I press CF and I hit 3 with 6 zeros and a negative, and I say enter. So that's in. And then I go down. So it brings me to the first cash flow at the end of next year. It's going to be a 0. And I say enter, down. Now I calculate there's going to be 2 zeros. There's going to be one this period and one next period. So I'm going to put 2 instead. So this is, I'm going to show you this other way to use the frequency key. Then I enter and go down. Now even though it says C02, I'm going to enter the value out here, which is really in year 3, but unfortunately the calculator doesn't make that adjustment for you. You just need to keep track yourself that now you're going to put in $200,000 and you're going to say enter, and there's going to be 2 of them. So you're going to say enter 2, enter, and down. And finally, in the 5th year, I'm going to get $4 million because I'm going to sell the hotel outright. Now, will that give me a profit? And now, even though it says CO3, remember I used the frequency button twice, so I lost. It's out of step with the timing. So enter down, and I just want one of those. Enter down, and I'm finished. Then I ask the calculator to compute, but first I have to put the interest rate of 8. Enter, down, compute, and that's it. So look, it's a positive. It's positive $28,000 today. So this is a good another reason why in finance, the convention is to do it this way is because it's going to show me here, like I have $28,000 profit from this enterprise, from buying this hotel, renting it out. I'm going to make $28,000 in net present value terms. So that means by the end of 5 years, with the sale, as if all things added up and considered, time value of money and all of that, this is worth $28,000 to me. And in financial terms, I could borrow against that money, or I could do something with the anticipation of making that $28,000 over the next 5 years. Okay, and that's also telling me what it means to me and what I could, what else I could do as a result of making this investment. I could potentially borrow $28,000 and pay it off over the next 5 years if I want to do something else. Okay, so that's how we think in finance. We want to know what's accessible to us today. What are the value of our assets today? So we can look at opportunities. All right, does everybody get that? Did everybody punch that in? Did you follow my demonstration? What I did was I used the frequency button twice. Here. And then also Wow, I'm having some trouble with this. It's like I have. Okay. No questions? We're moving on. Okay, mixed cash flows. Okay, so this is a set of cash flows that will accrue if I invest an amount today. So how much should I invest to get those cash flows if that's what's promised to me? So we're not going to say there's any risk. I'm promised to get 100% promised to get 1,100 at the end of the first year, 2,500 at the end of the second, 3,400 at the end of the third, and so on. Okay, so I'm promised those amounts. What's the most I should pay for that? In other words, what is the fair price? What's the most I should pay? How are you going to figure that out? Well, you could make a very long expression, right? Which would be like this. The first amount would have to be discounted, the second 2 periods discounting, and so on, for an amount invested today. And to just break even, all you're saying is, you know, the most I'd be willing to pay is to get just 0 at the end. Now I want to get more than 0, but that's the most I would pay for that. All right. So I'm going to take advantage of the NPV function in my calculator to enter that, because this would be very tedious and long to enter in a calculator. And I told you for this class, because you're finance students, I want you to use the approved calculator for CFA or analysts. So that's what we're going to do. So to do that, to manipulate the calculator so it works for us, what I'm going to do is rearrange these two terms and solve this problem. I'm going to put 0 as the initial cash flow, and then all these terms, and the result that I get, I will interpret as my NPV. All right, so our NPV will actually be the price of the investment. Remember that CFO is usually, we use it as a negative, so the NPV should be positive. You know what I mean? Note CFO, because it's the initial cash flow. It's usually less than 0, right? Okay, so how do you clear CF? You hit CF and then second clear work. You can't see because it's at the bottom. Let me see if I can shrink this without making too much of a mess. You see clear work at the bottom. Like that. So you hit second and clear work. Did you see that? All right, so let's so the whole thing fits nicely. All right, so let's enter the mixed cash flows. So we clear it off and start entering this. Now there's only one of each, so you're not going to manipulate the frequency key. So we first we hit CF and we put 0, enter. So I really recommend you, at least these first set of notes, you print them, all right? Because this is like your calculator guide. It's their calculator manual, essentially. And you're going to use it throughout the course. It'll be easier to work with in paper, I think. But what do I know? Everyone has different skills. I prefer it in paper. So 1100, enter, down, and then 1, enter, down. Now the next one is 2500, enter, down, and then 1, enter, down. And the third one is 3400, enter, down, and then 4050, enter, down. And because it's already 1, you can just say enter again. I mean, just down. And then 1000. I hope I entered everything right. If I didn't, I can just check. And then down, down, and I'm finished. So let's scroll through from the beginning. 0 is the first one. 1100 is the second. Then 2500. See, it's nice. You can check everything. That's it. And then second function, or sorry, just hit NPV. You need to tell the calculator the interest rate. Enter, down, and then compute. And that's how you get the answer. So it means that the NPV is 9,518, and where CF is usually in a negative because it's an investment, right? We invest 9,518 to get a break even of 0. So this is the most we'd be willing to pay. If someone offered the investment opportunity for less than that, then we'd see a profit, positive payoff. So of course we would invest in that and pay more. Yeah, we'd be willing to pay more than anything less than that. So that's why we call it the fair price. Okay, we're into this 1 hour. Let's keep going. Let's finish as much as we can. Any questions? Everything good? And when I stop talking, it buffers. It's like you can't stop talking. I always wondered why everyone's so chatty in the live streams on YouTube, and it is because if you don't speak, you stop sending a feed, it starts to buffer and even might automatically turn off. I think we're going to lose the chat for this stream just because it's not showing in my... anyway, it'll be okay. Oh, I hope we don't lose the captions though. I'm wondering if I should just stop this and start another one. I need to figure this out. We're going to lose the chat. Okay, let's take a break. Let's take 5 minutes and I'll start the part 2 because usually YouTube cuts me off after 2 hours anyways. So let's take a 5-minute break and I'll repost part 2, okay? Now you can just find it in the playlist. Any questions before I go?